This is Hope Alive Radio, shaping minds for a better future.
Indeed, we are shaping minds for a better future. The clock is 8 minutes past 10 o'clock right here at Hope Alive radio station. You tuned into the talk with the multi and of course. Yeah, boy, yes. And we are going to be talking to you all the way till the 12 midday time.
Sure.
Bringing us in is a beautiful song there, Powerful by Juicy Smollett featuring Alicia Keys, ushering us into a powerful conversation with a powerful lady, a powerhouse in the studio, celebrating God's Love Thursday. If you are a regular, you know that on Thursday, second hour, we share stories of God's love in our lives. And today we are graced by a beautiful, powerful woman who's going to be sharing her own story on God's love. Don't forget to follow us on our socials. We are there on Instagram as Hope Alive Radio and on Facebook, TikTok, Hope Alive Radio Station, Hope Alive _radio on X as well. To connect with us, because we are the talk, we want to talk with you. We want you to talk to us. Send through your text or your voice notes to 0671531089. We did say earlier on that we are having a lady, a coach, Coach Thabiso Hadebe. She's in the building. Yeah, yes, the powerhouse is in the building. Good morning, Thabiso. How are you this morning?
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners. And I'm happy to be here.
We are so excited as well to be here because we know that at the end of the day, for somebody who's sitting there and thinking, God does not love me, or I've been through so much, or I've done so much that does not please God. I don't think I'm good enough to be loved by God. But at the end of this conversation, the goal is that, you know what, whatever you've done, whatever you've gone through, the love of God will never change. The love of God will never be lessened. He still loves you. And he's waiting for us to say, you know what, I'm sorry, God. Or I understand the pain, but I understand it that you still love me even through pain. Huh? So that's the goal of our listeners, that at the end of the day, they receive that. Coach, you are a coach right now. We know that you're a mother and you're raising two beautiful boys, future husbands of some other people there. I hope you're also raising husbands as well. But one of the sad stories that we know about you is that you are a young widow. Maybe before you take us into being a young widow, tell us about yourself. You know, who is Coach Thabiso?
Thabiso, I am Thabiso Hadebe. I call myself an igniter of hope and a catalyst of radical change. So, Thabiso Hadebe is a daughter. I'm the only daughter.
Wow.
It's just the two of us. My younger brother is Katleho. And I'm a friend. I'm also a sister. I love life. I'm an adventurous person.
Okay.
I'm a people's person. I'm a woman who's not okay seeing other people not being okay.
Wow.
I would not be in your presence, and I won't leave you the same way that I have encountered you, or you have encountered me.
Right.
So in every place that I tap into, I allow God to reveal himself through, be it a conversation, be it the energy that I have around people. That is that. A former technician.
Okay.
I worked for Nampeg for 14 years.
Okay.
Up until I did not choose the path of coaching. I believe it chose me because tragedy forced me into that path. That's why I'm sitting here today. But yes, that is, in a nutshell, that is who Thabiso is.
Wow, I'm so excited to know about the tragedy that you speak about. But maybe before we go there, you also mentioned God in the conversation, like you're saying, God, you're centered around God. How do you connect with God in your life? Like, what's your relationship that you have with God?
It's very intimate. Daily. I do not only speak to God on Sundays. It is my spirit man. longs for me to connect with God on a daily basis, not by choice, but by force.
Okay.
Because as I am saying that, before going through the tragedy of losing my husband, I'd be one of those people who would pray whenever. So now I'm at a point whereby I can't starve my soul, because I understand, me being Thabiso, there's a spirit that lives inside the container that which walks around. So spirit man needs to be nurtured over and above just me walking around. So it's the spirit man that is powerful, but the spirit man feeds off being in an intimate relationship with God. So daily encounter, daily set time that I have intentionally put aside to connect, be it I sit, I read, I listen, or just being in stillness in that in that time. So it's time intentionally created to connect with God, that which I do on a daily basis.
Sure. Right. I like the part where you say, God, it was by force that you had to come, into that intimate relationship with God. And sometimes I know we always say that God is a gentleman, God is not forceful, but the way he loves us and the way he does not want us to end up in hell, for example, he will sometimes use painful situations. We were talking about this the other day when we were talking about grudges, that for me to release a grudge, God, to actually heal from a grudge, God had to use another pain to say, do you want me to continuously let you be in pain because of one grudge that you can't let go? And in your case, I understand it is the tragedy that happened of losing your husband. Maybe if you can recap on the beautiful side when a husband was still with us, was still alive. How did you meet your husband? Were the butterflies forever in a type of thing? Yeah.
Okay, I met my husband shortly after I completed matric. So I can say high school, almost kind of sweetheart. But yeah, I met him before I even started working. Relationship went on. I think 4 years into the relationship, that's when I had my first child. But then before having that child, he said we must get married. I think, again, meeting someone before you turn 20, you make the most critical decision of your life before your mind is even fully formed. So went into that, but our relationship was beautiful.
Wow.
I was considered one of the people, abababizama couple goals.
Oh, wow.
My marriage was beautiful, beautiful 14 years. But minus 13 months before he passed, he left me to go and be with someone else.
Okay.
But the details of that story is still something that I'm holding very close to my heart.
Right.
Yet I am unpacking it to can say, I suffered infidelity just 13 months before my husband passed. But in that is when God, I felt God calling me. So I believe in pain, that is how God screams and shouts at you to can say, come. Because that season pushed me directly down into God's feet. So he passed at that girlfriend's place. Even that part, I haven't unpacked really what happened, because again, there's still my kids there. But the fact that I removed shame out of my whole story to can own up the whole thing that has happened in my marriage, so that I can be sitting here with you today. There's no shame in what I went through. And I am not doing justice to my marriage if I'm only looking at just the part whereby just before he passed, he left. I need to own up to even the beautiful moments that which we created, because we were the ones who were creating even those moments.
Right.
But I wouldn't even say it was unfortunate that he left. I believe my husband ushered me into this position that I'm sitting in today?
yeah.
Has he not done the things he did? Has he not left? Has he not? I believe he was used by God so that God can get me right. Because
Sure.
I was showing up in life just like anyone else. You live, you grow up, you get married, you work. But currently, I understand with everything that which God brings into our lives, it needs to serve purpose. So my marriage saved purpose. It served purpose. Owning up to those shameful, there's no shame. I'm a coach today so that I can help people who are stuck in pain.
Yeah.
There is everything is nothing subjected to what we call it.
Wow.
My situation is nothing subjected to what I call it. I call the situation that I went through my stage.
Okay.
Because
A
the same
season,
story
yeah.
is now saving even the greater glory to can bring people to God. Because as I stand there, I don't look like what I've been through.
Right.
So now
That's right.
understanding Ukuthi, how many people are depriving God of showing up in through them so that people may know that God still heals.
Yeah.
Because you are sitting there with the testimony that you went through. I did
Amen.
not choose what I went through.
Yeah.
No one gets married to can say, I want divorce,
That's
I want to
true.
suffer
Yeah.
infidelity.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself in that situation, there's no shame. And let us be
Sure.
honest. Authenticity, it's a word that which we just throw out there.
But we don't wanna live
we
it.
need to
Yeah.
live it.
Yeah.
There's no shame. You stand and say, I went through that, so that the 1,000 women who are still
Can be
stuck there can
saved.
also rise and say,
Sure.
we see Thabiso standing up and
Beautiful.
running boldly
Beautiful.
in who God was calling me through that situation. And I still stand and I bless the Lord for the time He blessed me to can have,
Sure.
or the time He gifted me to can
Yo.
spend with my husband. Like, that man did not have history of umjolo, if I can say that. But it was one incident enough to can take him to his grave.
Yeah.
What is that? Me coming into coaching, I studied my own situation. I turned my own story into a project, into a research. I studied the mindset so that I can understand good God. 1 minute I was so happy in my marriage. The next, bangshile. How can that happen? That is when I was able to can see Uguti. If God says He reveals Himself in the low moments, in our pain. He
That's
didn't
true.
say He reveals
That's
Himself
true.
when we get married. Or magumnande emshadweni. He reveals Himself in those painful situations.
Yeah.
I made a research and made sure that I looked for
Sure.
Him and I found Him. I found Him.
Let's
God
talk about
is intentional in
God
everything.
is intentional about everything. And I love that you're at a point where you are saying that it is not shame, because even the word of God does say that our God will never put us to shame. But because of lack of knowledge, we embrace our pains, sibe ne pity party, and we even label and give names to ourselves. But I just want us, I would like you to take us into a moment of having a beautiful marriage for 13 years. Couple goals. You are a young person. You are still a young wife. You know, you are raising a beautiful family. Just after, I mean, you did not know that your husband was going to pass away, but you're saying that on the 14th year of your marriage, you found out this. And I'm definitely sure that by the time you found out, you were not yet equipped and knowledgeable of saying this is not pain. The reality was like, sure, how dare does this man put me through this? And then obviously eventually you're saying God used that moment and said, this is not shame, Danami. I just wanted to use it for your glory. How did you react when you found out that this is what your husband has been doing in your marriage?
Sure, I did the things you would do. I fought for him. Horrible things. I remember I would even
Were there
go.
signs?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying unpacking it requires me putting down a pen and paper.
Okay.
But in short, how I found myself in that situation is, remember, there's the version of me that which God said, Thabiso, go on earth. when God was done creating everything, udale the two of us. Go, subdue, have dominion, multiply. When God was done creating the earth, that is when he created uThabiso. So now there's a version kaNkulunkulu kaThabiso, and there's now the person okungukuthi ngiwuye namhlanje. I am walking my path, owning up to the things that I feel I need to be doing. I'm this woman who loves empowerment. I'm all about growth. I'm all about, no, man, I can't be stagnant. I can't be, but I'm married to someone who's not improving himself. There's danger in us being in marriages. One is rising, the other one is like nothing. So the problems that we had in our marriage, you'd think we had issues of money. It wasn't about issues of money. It was the fact that I was transitioning into this person, but remember, he loved a certain version of me. But now this version that is coming up now, that is not equipped, I also didn't know how to handle him as he responded to the problems that which we had. That's why I'm saying I'm sitting here and I thought we had issues of money because there was a time when he stopped working. That is when I couldn't receive him with grace. And he also suffered low self-esteem. He also suffered ego, to say, when I would ask, because we had businesses that which the businesses failed. But now I was not equipped to can tell him, you are the builder, you are still here. I did not receive him with grace. I was also carrying a load. I couldn't. Women are not built to provide. Let's be honest with that. You are now carrying a load. I wasn't built for that. It's now the pressure in the house. It's now a husband who's not working. When he got the chance to can now start to can go back and have a job because even I'm a taxi. That is when outside, abangani, when you tell them what's happening in your house, the advices they give you, you'd say, Ekaya, aksimnandi. I got messages to can say, my husband was told, Puma, who is in a marriage who's surrounded by people, when you tell them that you have issues in your marriage, they will say, get out. So now the surrounding, I didn't receive him with grace when we went through marital problems. Also, when he left, as Magashela, the people they didn't want anything. So now it goes to show that the fact that I wasn't equipped, it sabotaged my marriage. Be it was for the greater glory. I did the things you would do. I would go Yomlanda. I would fight for him. There's things, that's why I'm saying, I put it down on a book. You'll read about it.
We've got an author in the house as well.
Yes, all those things. But the most important thing is that I wasn't equipped to can carry him. And he was just looking for someone, ozomamukela, engasena next. But we don't talk about those things, Masi, getting into marriage. You want someone that's not working. But as we are sitting as friends, no one even says, hey friend, I found myself in that situation. Those things that I did. I would go and I would be chased back home, crying, fighting for. He was not only my husband, the only man my kids, both of them were born out of marriage. The structure now is broken. Going there just to can ask, at least also born abantwana.
And he was not there.
But he was there. Everyone, when you do anything that which we do fulfills a certain need. He was fulfilling the voidness of wanting to be accepted and to be seen and to be loved for just by being himself with all of us. But because we were taught to accept based on certain conditions, he didn't get that at home. He went outside, he got that. But above and beyond that, he lost his identity in him going out, because if he failed to come back home to see his children, if I had to go and remind him, so all those things now, the decisions you make when you find yourself in a point okunguthi usebuhlungwini, it creates other problems.
True.
I chose to sit. I chose to cry. I chose to no. My kids just have me. The only parent that is left is just me.
Yeah, and I can
needed
imagine
to fight for that version.
Yeah.
Epilayo, because now. That is now how I even found myself with Jenny coaching, because I saw ukuthi abantwana bami, like literally,
they need
if
you now.
kuhamba nami, then we have failed
Bazoba,
them.
And I can imagine, Coach Uguti, by the time you find out Uguti, this is what's happening, there's somebody else, you had a self of blaming yourself. Uguti, I could have, I could have. And we're going to come back and talk about how did you regain. I understand that part of saying, okay, this pain is for the glory, but how did I regain my position of I'm not going to stay here and feel sorry and blame myself for the cheating of my husband. 29 minutes past 10 o'clock, we're celebrating God's Love Thursday through pain today. Send some love to 0671531089. We're coming back shortly. Let's go pay some bills. Don't you go away. Oh man, a beautiful one there. The strength of a woman right here. We are listening to her story. 31 minutes past 10 o'clock. You are tuned in to the talk on God's Love Thursday, celebrating God's love. Today we're celebrating God's love through pain, because it's so easy to be comfortable with God's love and acknowledge His love when things are going well. Until things are going wrong, you start doubting God. But in the midst of pain, in the midst of everything that did not make sense in your life, He is still there. That's why some singers are saying, what the enemy meant for evil, God will turn it around for our good. That's Coach, right. Coach Tobile here who's with us, joined us in the conversation, and we are talking about Thabiso, Coach Thabiso is here on the talk, and we are listening to her story on how God has elevated and used her pain for His glory. You see how God works sometimes. Some pains, you can't pray them out. You need to endure them so that God can be seen. Before we made some payments, I asked Uba, how did you overcome that element of saying, I'm the one who might have pushed my husband away. I'm the one, through not being trained. I'm probably, you were at a point of blaming abo mama around you or the aunties around you. Why ningangitshelanga ukuthi indoda mayingasasebenzi kwenzwani? Because I was carrying a load of automatically a provider, and I would see less of a man, of my husband. Yeah. And when that happened, it probably might have clicked with, I pushed him.
Putting it in that context, I believe I would like to safely say the only responsibility that I have is myself. He had a responsibility for himself. How I responded to his needs, he had two choices: to work on himself or leave. He chose to leave. So now I want to release someone. You are the cause of someone else's. Yeah. I suffered pain based on how he responded to the things we were going through, Ekai. But I decided to stay. I decided to seek healing. I decided to look for solutions that are, I call it healing with integrity. Okay. There's internal strength that which we are wired with. It can only be revealed when such pains come. You need to pull from your internal reservoir. Pull them. He left because he was fulfilling a need. I was not equipped. Both of us standing there, one needs to fight for themselves. So that's why I'm saying I want to release those who think you may be driving someone. But yes, me not being equipped to can handle. Right. I also said I also contributed, but it was part or it formed part of.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's the whole picture, the whole story. The whole story, Shuguti, he also had responsibility for himself.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. I want to get into you showing up for your children now. And many a times as mothers, we turn to forget ourselves in such a situation. Number one, you just lost your husband. Now you are grieving. There has to be kids as well. After everything that he has done, he chose to leave. We get to that point. But now let us get into how you had to show up for your kids. Were you able to even show up for those particular kids?
At first, no. My kids were taken away they were staying with my parents for, it was for, I'm not sure of the time, but it was long because I remember I was afraid of looking at them. They reminded me of their father, both of them. So I was actually afraid of them. As I see them, I'd be reminded of the season the season I'm in. I'll be reminded of their father. Remember, I said that their father left for a certain period before he passed. And that was, when he was away from home, that is when I felt like I was in so much pain. But I used the things that I think while we look at other people saying, we tried this, we tried this, we tried that, God gave me tools himself because I started exercising, I started running. I didn't know running could save someone's life. I started journaling. There's a group online, I think it's Mpumili Dwaba. I formed part of that group. But now there's tools she gives. I decided to use it in that season of pain, about journaling, gratitude. Our minds are wired to like, they look for the negative, like in negativity, it's how we were wired to can pick up easily. So on a daily basis, forced myself to look for the goodness in the season that I was in. Waking up and just saying, God, I thank you I can breathe. Because I need to force myself to move away from this thing or thinking about this thing that is killing me. I went through that. I started hiking. I even still hike today. I don't invite anyone when I go hiking because that is personal for me. When I feel my spirit is heavy, I know I need to climb the mountains. And there's a healing mechanism in walking in nature. So these natural things that which I used are the ones that actually saved my life. And if you are saying that when I left, when my kids were there, that is how I aggressively sought healing. Money became useless. Money became useless because money couldn't get me back what I needed in that season. And I used all of my money, most of it, to can seek the version okunguthi ngiyo today. I paid for courses. I attended different, and again, one thing that also healed me is moving the opposite direction of the groups we have. Our color. I moved away from those groups because siyakhala, we complaining. Oh, it's like a petrol in isimo. So I moved the opposite direction. I started moving to empowerment events, like the opposite direction of what I was feeling. So that is how I was able to can grab a healing yam. Aggressively going after a healing was so that my kids, and I also decided to can also do a conscious parenting. I'm also a conscious parenting coach because I even saw ukuthi abantwana bethu, they do not want the things we give them, bafuna thina. So I say the parenting style. I even saw us investing in moments.
Right.
It
better
served them
than
in
the
a long
material
run.
things, yeah.
It's better. They wanted their father, not what they could get from him, but how much money do we spend on things more than our presence
time.
and actually creating
That's powerful.
moments,
That's very
creating
powerful.
memories.
Yes.
We have a reservoir of memories. When we talk about their father today, we even we laugh. There's beautiful stories to tell because we created those moments. But the healing yami, I had to fight for it because already
Yeah.
abasanayo baba.
Yeah.
So me sitting in my place of pain, I'm becoming selfish. Selfish. Pain by me sitting there and complaining, I don't change my situation. If complaining ishintshisimo sakho, then let's complain. So I saw by me sitting there feeling sorry for myself, kuba buhlungu even more. That's why the healing part, I started feeling different. I started looking at myself different. So why not go after or go this path? Already I'm seeing no man, that is something. Like pain, there's a word that comes to my spirit or my mind now. It says when we go through. So through already when a promise lapo. There's a way in, there's a way out. So if you are still complaining, still crying, you decided to take residence in your through. You decided to camp in the middle of God's story, in the middle of God's testimony, in the middle of God revealing himself through you for those abaseza. Because if you haven't yet went through pain, praise yourself, it's still coming. Because here's the truth about impilo. Life is seasonal. You know, I have to now stand and tell people, no, God didn't say he reveals himself, must tengi moto, must tell him God said he reveals himself in our pain. So now why are we looking at God in places he didn't say utholakala khona? So now find God in your story, in your pain. Look for him. Make that story, make that pain your next project. Being guided by a coach. Because again, there was no way I could have made it out of that season alone. Because someone had to show me ukuthi injani impilo on the other side.
So you speak of creating memories. You are the one who created memories with your husband and your kids. And many of us, when we go through something, when we are faced with something, we turn to forget all the good that we have done, all the good that we have shared together, and we turn to focus on the bad that happens, and we turn to stay within the bad. At some point, right? And I love when you speak about you showing up for your kids. You had to first deal with yourself, and at some point you hated your kids for some reason, right? Something that they did not do, right? And how you got out of that for me is a cherry on top. Now we talk about you becoming you bridging the gap between parents and children. What is it that you want parents to know, and to know that these kids, they are here, they don't want your money, they don't want these things. What would you like parents to make sure that they change about them and their children?
Our children are looking at us, are watching us. How we show up in life is how your child shows up. So I had to make sure that Thabiso is healed. Thabiso lives again. Thabiso pursues. Thabiso goes after the things before I can show up for them. I decided to be the best version of myself so that I can be able to can even carry them or show them how they can become the best version of themselves. So you are doing justice to your child if you say you want the best for your child, but you are not showing up as your best self. There's no way you can show abantwana something okunguthi awuyazi. It starts with self. If I have to pour something into, if I'm saying ukap B relies on A to be filled.
Yeah.
A is the mother, B is the cup yomntwana.
Yeah.
You can't pour anything with cup B if you haven't yet taken care of A. So we sit in our place of pain. We sit emishadweni engasimnandi and say sihlalela abantwana. Already you are failing or you have failed your child because there's what is in here? What is in here?
Right?
What is inside A is what you are feeding off of the children. Already we are portraying ukuthi imishado mibi. Like today I sit with my children, they look forward to seeing themselves beshada. They even ask, Ma, why aren't you in a relationship again? You know why? It's because I healed. So that they can see ukuthi we celebrate the life God gifted us no baba wabo. Whatever that happened at the end, that was just a bridge for me ukuthi ngize to this seat. And I praise God on a daily basis. But then I used to curse. No, I don't. Whoever still has that part, because again, you want to determine your life. I cannot be calling myself in a season. It was just a chapter. Chapter that ended wasn't my life. I can't be calling myself not just a sin in the story sikaNkulunkulu. This is God's story. If we can normalize knowing that we are just participants in God's story, then we will show up differently. The pain, next, you show up because God still gave you the breath. Uyaphila. Abantu abashonile, we don't have to die with them. I continue to live because I understand the pain yokushonelwa. Having to pick up my husband's lifeless body there, sekashonile. Now saying, God, my husband ushona 4 days. Ngiphethe, I'm talking to a lawyer. I'm saying I'm ready to divorce. God didn't allow that. I wrote a message yakhe on the memorial service and said, God, you forced me to be faithful to my vows because I wanted to sign out. He didn't allow that. Why? Because of this moment. This moment you can say, if God said, hamba, He is in it with us.
Right? What a life with a purpose. I'm telling you.
47 after 10, right here on Hope Alive Radio. We're still sitting with Coach Hadebe this morning, and what a story that you are telling. Today there are many people that are feeling like, you know what, I'm done. This husband, this husband, that, these children, these children, there's a lot that they are saying. Yet they, at the end of the day, they decide, you know what, I'm done.
That's right.
But yet they are believers. They call themselves children of God. They call themselves born-again Christians. What would you say?
Number one, or angazi ngihlala ngithi number one. But into engizoyisho. uNkulunkulu has wired us with wisdom. I think if ubona ukuthi la ngiyashona la, infidelity is covered in the word. I think most of the time we love to romanticize. I call it romanticizing faith. No, you are dying. If you see ukuthi yabona la ngiyahamba, you can't force into ibona ukuthi le. I like. I couldn't. I tried to force my husband. I like really. I wanted to twist story sikaNkulunkulu. You know, the best prayer I ended up praying was, God, have your way. God, I said, God, your will is painful, but it is necessary. I ended up praying that prayer. That is when I would say, God, if it is your will, if it is your will, if it is your will. Even the day when he passed, I remember getting the call, but it really exited. You know, deep down, I'm like, I didn't know to Shonile. You know, I stood. I'm even yet to can say, God, Mara, why that moment? I turned, I looked at myself in a mirror and I said, God, you prepared me for this. I wrote down that part. But I understand. Today, everything also you understand looking back. So while you are in your
Makes sense when you look
pain,
back.
Yeah.
there's no way you can get the glory. You have to walk past so that when you look back, you'll be like, oh God, this man had to lay down his own life so that you can get me right. You can get me to ignite hope. You can get me to stand and say enough is enough with people who are glorifying pain. There's nothing beautiful about being in a place of pain. But life comes in season. Say figile pain. You make a decision. Ukuthi izwi lithi when I go through and he's in it with me. And if there is glory after this, fight to see the glory.
of God
Look
at
for
the
help.
end.
Seek help. Surround yourself with people abakwenza ulangazelele ukuphila, because honestly you can't twist God's story. You cannot, even if you try. But abanye abeza after thina abo Thabiso sesihambile, I'm saying, you know, I wish I became the coach today. I wish I had then, because understanding ukuthi there was no way. Mina ingithathe indlela ngihamba, it's almost 3 years now. Someone else uyihamba better because you are equipped. You have someone who will tell you ukuthi you need to picture the healed version of you ukuthi ibukeka kanjani, and start walking towards that vision. So indaba yokuhlala emshadweni yokuhlala, I'm not saying people mabaphume emshadweni. Marriage is beautiful. I still look forward to.
I was about to ask.
Yes,
you.
I'm
looking forward to be found again.
Once you do the work ngawe, like literally I am equipped. I'm not saying ngiyalapha ngiyohloma. No, angihlomang, like the wisdom that I have today, it would go to waste if uNkulunkulu angathi nayi round 2 mntana. Show them how it's done, because there is no way that situation can be a deciding factor of the rest of my life. If uNkulunkulu ngabe bekafuna ukuthi ngishone, he would have taken me together with my husband. So if ngisaphila,
there is a reason.
I say, God, every place I found myself, show them who you are. Show them ukuthi in our mess, there is a message of hope for someone. In that tragedy, there is a story of hope for the next person. In that pain, there is purpose that serves the greater glory kaNkulunkulu. So it is up to us ukuthi siyahlala and choose what we want. Here's another thing engizokutshela yona ukuthi you want to choose paths. As you show up in life and say marriage horrible, the marriage and no Thabiso nangihleli la namhlanje, I need all those parts that formed uThabiso. Angiphelelanga should I curse the seasons that I have, the beautiful time that I had with my husband. Should I not own up to that? I am angiphelelanga. So even those parts that we look at and say it's shameful,
they matter.
Ayadingeka for me to be fully. Shokuthi mangabe puzzle, one piece oyishiye ngemuva. There's no shame except to what you call. No one will tell my story like I tell it, because even if maso upholile, you are even looking at everyone feeling sorry for yourself, and I'm like, yo, pain, mina, pain. I say you are favored by God. You are favored. How dare God chooses me? Ukuthi angidlulise entweni nje, and then puts me there in the stages and puts me there and say, mtanami, this is what I've done with you, because he cannot do that if we do not even allow him. So you are depriving God of revealing himself through you if you do not own up. There's no shame except for what we choose to can name those seasons. Walk past it, because already umendleleni yabanye abantu ukuthi babone ukuthi the things bezenzeka eBhayibhelini ziyenzeka namhlanje. God is a healer, because I understand how desperate I needed healing 3 years back. Oh God, if you would have told me, Uguti, this is what you were doing,
you would have embraced the season. Sure. It is 6 minutes past 6 minutes to 11 o'clock. We are having a conversation with Coach Thabiso here, celebrating God's love through pain. She's an author as well. We can't wait to hear, to see the book coming out, and we can't wait to see more of what God is doing in her life. Just a beautiful one there, saying, Guti, sometimes we pray out in pains. We cast out pains, yet it's what God wants us to endure for her glory. Imagine if she didn't go through this. It does not make sense for us to be saying, you should have embraced that journey, but we couldn't have recapped or retaken to the love of God that say God still loves us even through the pain. We're about to wrap up. Only 5 minutes, Thabiso. If you can share where people can find you. You're a life coach. There's probably somebody who's saying, I need to speak to this woman. I need to have a conversation deeper with this woman. Where can people get connected with you?
It's in Instagram. My personal page is utabiso_24. But I have a page, which is Thabiso_, it's Thabiso Parenting. So you go to my personal page, you will be directed to the work page. But they can take my number. I do take people who want to heal. If you want to heal, if you are sick and tired of where you find yourself, because healing is a choice. It's the faith comes by hearing. There's the faith, what you hear, the thoughts. And again, there's a decision there. If you won't take the necessary steps. The woman who had the issue of the blood, they said Jesus Christ is passing. She decided to go after. So umuntu ofunayo, umuntu othi ngikhathele, those are the people okungukuthi ngisebenza nabo. I can give even the number okungukuthi they can just even go WhatsApp, contact me, we schedule the sessions okungukuthi, but healing is going to cost you, just as you being in your place of pain is costing you the highest and the priceless version of who you can become. And not only you, whatever that which I have done, I have changed the things for the next generation. My kids know ukuthi pain iliyeza, but this too shall pass. No season lasts forever. But ukuphenduleka kwethu, even ezwini, even how God works, it is if you want to heal, he says get up, take the mat and walk. You have to act upon what was just said for you to can get healing. So I can give out the number abazongithola kuyo, but if you want to be healed, if you are saying I want, like ukhathele, those are the people that I work with, because abantwana bethu, they want the healed version yethu. Already the next generation izosazi silaba abantu abalwayo abacomplain. No, it doesn't have to be like that. If we do not have to fight battles, abantwana bethu, they don't have to fight battles okungukuthi ngabe bekawinwe yimi nawe. The reason why I'm here, I'm saying that not on my watch. There's hope. Hope is available, it will require you making a decision, and that's why it's a radical transformational coach, because you are going to be awakened by the experience odlula kuyo. But I will be holding your hand or giving you the rope in the pit and saying come out, so that we form an army of evolving parents abazothi even when God says you are alone to take care of your child.
That's right.
I mean, I'm doing it with so much grace because I've partnered with the Most High.
Wow.
So
Quickly,
in number it's 071-8977-009. They can get me there. But healing is available if you choose to heal.
God's Love Thursday with Coach Thabiso. What a beautiful conversation there. I feel like speaking to our producers and our content creators to have part 2 of this, because we still need to find out, as much as I've chosen healing, there are days where I won't feel like, nah.
It is going to
And
cost.
I am still saying I want to heal, but it's taking back to
The reason
0-1.
why
So really, we really feel like we should have part 2 of this, but we'll find out. But because of time, we have to wrap it up from you. Such a powerhouse. You are called for the season. Honestly, all things work together for our good. Whatever the enemy meant for evil, God turns out for the good. But we in to the society, but not to God, because God had a glory to shine on, to use you for. And we appreciate for embracing, for healing, for choosing healing, and for choosing God to use you even through your pain. God's Love Thursday through pain today, taking us to exactly 11 o'clock. It's time for the news. Let's stay tuned and find out if we're going to have part 2.